Okay, so another type of braid that you can do is called a single braid. Basically, you take one section and you just do create a little box for it, and you do a box braid. When you're complete, your mannequin should look something similar to this. Have a bunch of little braids coming out, and you can see that they're all in little boxes. So they're little box braids with an individual single braid coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to start this. And as you work your way up, you're going to want to make sure that you brick lay the section. So I'm going to show you that. Okay, so when you start, you're going to go ahead and start at the bottom of the nape area. So you can see I subdivided about an inch in subsection. You can take your comb and take that section all the way across. And to create your little box, you can take your comb to measure out about a box, about an inch. Your comb is usually about an inch. You can take your tail comb and you should have an inch all the way around. Okay, I'm going to just keep the rest of the hair out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do using the three-stranded technique and do a three-strand braid. Okay, and again, these are box braids. So I'm going to start with my right over the center, and then the left over the center. And I'm going to just alternate them as I work my way down. So left over center, right over center, left over center, right over center, left over center. And let me just see if I can get a little bit closer so you can really see that. Here you go, left, or where am I? I'm like right over center. And you can see that I'm holding it nice and tight with my thumbs to make sure that I don't lose the tension within that braid. So left over center, right over center. And you're just gonna work your way down till you get all the way to the bottom. Okay, and this is what you're going to do. You're going to do the entire head full of box braids, and it should end up looking like the mannequin that I showed you in the beginning. I'll show it to you at the end as well. So you're going to do your box braids, bring that all the way down to the ends. Okay, and then you're going to take your rubber band. Take your little rubber band and you're going to secure that braid down. Okay, see that? You never want to put the rubber band in your teeth. At that point, you have contaminated the rubber band, so you don't want to do that. Okay? Okay, so I've already done the first row, so I've got about 4 braids down there. 4 box braids. I'm going to go ahead and move on to my next section. I already dropped it off. And what I want to do is I want to brick lay. Now, when I brick lay, that means that I'm going to go in between the section. So in other words, I don't want to end with lines going all the way up in the same, where you see that whole separation. I want it to kind of blend as I'm working my way up. So you see I've got my 4 sections, so I should have one here and then one in between these 2 and one in between the other 2. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to separate that out. So here, so I'm going to take it in between half of my, in between half of both of them. Again, you should still be working within that 1 inch perimeter. Okay, and then you're just going to do your braid. Okay, right over left, left over right. You can alternate that if you want to. Get it nice and tight to the root. The tighter you get it to the root, the longer it'll last for the client. So you just want to remember that. You want to remember that if you do this wet, the hair will shrink. So usually you want to do braids dry. You want to add some gel as you're working as well, just to make sure that you add that hold to your braids. Okay, so just real quick, I just want to recap that what your box braids should end up looking like. Okay, and what this person did is they actually put the rubber bands on the box just to keep it nice and tight. You can do that, but what happens is that it gets too tight for clients and they might not be able to wear it because it's so tight. So that's optional between you and your clients. And you can see that the ones that I was doing are just straight from the scalp. Okay, so you are going to box braid this up, so meaning you're going to go in between each other, so you don't want to see lines going all the way up. And here's a perfect example. You have your 3 on the bottom, and then you have your next couple kind of in between, and you're just going to work your way up and around, and you're going to want to measure with your comb. Okay, measure with your comb. when you're done, we'll go ahead and move on to the next couple braids.